My advice is don't wait for the industry to adapt to you. Like, you make the industry adapt, and you create that space. You carve out that space. And if you're in a space that doesn't allow that, I guarantee there's another firm or another space that will allow that. So basically, don't take no for an answer.
But yeah, so Mike, we're here.
We are here.
I am Deshawn Peterson, and I am here with my co-host Mike Zarelli, and this is The Blueprint, the FPA NextGen podcast, and we are live at FPA NextGen Gathering 2024.
Yeah, just had our kickoff. Nicole, the leader, kicked everything off. Adario was DJing. So this is not a normal conference, I would not say.
I don't want to say the word is just well organized. I felt like that room, the ballroom, it just had it was fluid. I felt comfortable and I didn't feel boring. I think, like the leaders who put this together did a good job, but they were intentional that it wasn't just another, I don't want to say quote unquote boring conference, but at least they got people involved. And I think that definitely just, it's a part of NextGen, right? Just that culture, everyone's involved. So I definitely felt that walking in the room.
Sets the tone, sets the energy, high energy today, and then pretty nice panel to really get us kicked off.
Those questions were phenomenal. Like, not, just more like humbling questions, things like that. Like, I think Stacy sounds like, people first. Some firms are client first instead of people first. I'm like, wow, that's very powerful. And just everyone on the panel who has so much success, and to just say, here's what you can do when you're thinking about learning, upskilling, having uncomfortable conversations, really boiling it down to something simple as it's just communications, and sometimes you have to go. And I was like, that was 45 minutes, but I was just like really taking notes on my phone, like, wow, that was really good. So I really enjoyed the panel. For the conference, Mike, what are you looking forward to?
My answer's changed every single time somebody's asked me. And I think just from this first session, what I'm really excited for is all of the new people. When they ask how many new people are here, I was shocked by how many people raised their hand. And so I can think back to my first gathering and how opening and inspiring experience it was. And I'm so excited for these new people. So I'm excited for those conversations with them to talk about this journey they're about to go on in a conference that they're going to definitely come back to. What about you? What are you most excited about?
Seeing everybody. I felt like I travel for work. I feel like this is traveling for work, but I was telling my good friend about this conference, and I was like, yeah, it's work related, but I feel like these are like my industry friends that make me feel excited to be in the space, because we're all climbing different ladders, different places, and things like that. But being here, like you say, is so welcoming, and the momentum of the mini gathering, all the work we've been doing for NextGen on a national level, and all the teams and all the Zooms, all the emails, and to actually say like, hey, we're in person. Like, there's no login, there's no let these people in. We're like, hey, let's just be here in this moment. And I feel very present. And I think that's just what I was really looking forward to. So when I walked through the door, I just felt so warm. I was like, hey, I'm here. We're here. And I could just see everyone in the crowd. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to just spend these next few days with everyone.
Well, and it's funny, people probably don't know this, but we just met.
This is our first time meeting.
5 minutes ago.
Aaron Riley, who's behind the camera, he's on there too. He's waving his hand, ironically behind the camera, but but yeah, just seeing everyone, and just everyone is saying like, hey, you have legs, or hey, you're now on the screen, things like that. It's just like, it's so.
But it's cool because it feels like we've known each other for a very long time. So now it's just, we get to explore our friendship.
Yeah, this is a celebration of all those relationships. They said on the panel, like, it's just relationships, like business development, prospecting, anything like that. We're in the business of relationships as people, And today is like, here's where your those relationships are all intersecting. And it's cool. It's a cool moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so what we're going to do for this segment is we're going to get random people at the conference, ask them a few questions, get to know them, and have some fun. So we're excited. Hope you enjoy.
Later. Okay, so hey everyone, I'm Deshawn, and welcome to the FPA NextGen Gathering 2024, live from Phoenix, Arizona. And with me, I have two important people, and I will kick it over to you to introduce yourselves.
We can do Haley first. She got the mic.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Haley Ellis.
I'm Gloria Garcia Cisneros.
And how are you involved in FPA?
So I am a CFP and integrator within my firm. And with FPA, I serve on the NextGen National Leadership Committee as the Community Awareness Coordinator.
Yeah, I am also a CFP. I am a wealth manager out of Los Angeles, and I'm also a co-chair to the same committee Haley's on, so for community awareness.
All right, good. And what does that mean for your day-to-day? Like, what are you trying to achieve with community awareness?
I think for both of us it means different things, which is I think the beauty of the synergy of our committee. It's a new committee, but we're defining what that means day to day. For me personally, it meant just awareness, not just of the resources FPA NextGen offers, but making sure that there is more awareness around the communities we want to reach, what the next generation looks like. So a lot of the D&I outlook and making sure there's like the giving back and the awareness of just not our resources, but how we can help others and how we can bring them in and make them feel included, and the inclusiveness of maybe FPA as an organization.
And for me, I just love FPA NextGen. This is my home. This is my tribe. This is my community. And I just want to get more people involved, whether that's students, career changers, people that are new to the industry. So for me with this committee, it's really just expanding our outreach. So informing more people about NextGen, FPA as a whole. And then we have so many really great resources and opportunities within NextGen. So just helping spread the word to FPA members and non-members alike about this community and just all of the ways that you can get involved.
And what's been the most enjoyable moment about gathering thus far?
For me, it really just goes back to the community aspect. This is my third gathering, and just the friendships that you form and the community that is here is just phenomenal. Getting to connect with other planners that are really in the same career stage as you is just so invaluable, and it's just been great so far.
For me, this is a first in a lot of ways. I've never been part of any leadership positions. I drove right into National NextGen Committee. My first gathering, and just the quality of people. I think being surrounded by a lot of younger folks who have the same vision and the mission, you just see the hope for the future of the industry. It's been amazing. The people, the conversations you're having that are deep and they're not surface level. There's a bit of that weight that comes off of trying to seem or look like anything you aren't. And I think that's pretty great.
And you said one of your principles is, building awareness about resources that are available in FPA NextGen in general. So what would you say, what is a resource that is often overlooked, or maybe young planners, senior planners might not know is available, via FPA or just FPA NextGen?
It's a great question. I think two of my favorites are the study groups, that there's a session I didn't realize before coming in every month where young advisors all over the country are coming together to learn about something and engage in deeper conversations. One, it forms community, but you're getting to grow as an advisor. And then the other one is the masterminds. I know it's relatively new, but I think I have a personal mastermind we formed outside of FPA. I know how valuable it can be to have a small group of people that you know really well and can, jump off each other ideas. The struggles you're going through are often very similar because we're all in similar stages of our career. So I think those are two maybe people don't know about that aren't as big, but I think are probably one of the most helpful in community building and resources.
Yeah, that's great. I was going to say masterminds. That was my first thought, but I also want to highlight a lot of the PR opportunities as well. FPA NextGen offers several writing opportunities, which I've taken advantage of over the past few years. It's a great way to, one, expand your knowledge on a topic, just to pick something and to write about it, and two, really to build your brand. That's been really important for me the last few years, building my reputation out there, whether it's with other planners or with the public as a whole. I've really enjoyed the writing opportunities within NextGen, and I think that's something that's really overlooked. A lot of people don't know about it. So We have a couple different publications that you can write for. You can also do short videos. So it's just a really great opportunity to take advantage of.
Great. Well, this is FPA NextGen Gathering. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Peterson, welcome to FPA NextGen Gathering, live from Phoenix, Arizona, 2024. I am with...
My name is Jasmine Ball.
Thank you for joining us, Jasmine. How you doing?
I'm good.
All right, so is this your first gathering?
This is my first gathering.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. It's been fun.
What would you say your experience has been thus far?
It's been really good. I think when you talk about just learning and understanding and education, it can come in so many different forms.
Yeah.
So even though I've been in the industry a while, I feel like you can learn so much, whether it's from the students that are here, the vendors that are here, or, you know, people that have been in the industry just a little bit of time too.
And I guess what's something you've taken away from your sessions?
I mean, and I love to see it, is like the world of finance is so diverse. And even people interested in financial planning, there's different veins of financial planning. Some people love to specialize. Some people want to work with different niche markets. Some of us want to be client-facing, not client-facing. And I feel that's what I love about the industry is over the last decade I've been in it, that's changed. Because it used to be like, no, you have to be client-facing. You have to look like this. You have to do it like this. And now it's like, it is what you want it to be.
No, we're in the same cohort, but tell us about you, where you're living, your CFP status, and just, if I'm wrong, I'm interpreting this wrong, like your mission to grow the industry from your perspective. Could you share a little bit light on that?
So I have been in financial planning now, or in finance, 13 years. This is my 13th year. I got my CFP about 3 years ago. And I'm the first and only Black female CFP in the state of Oklahoma. So I'm still hoping for more people to join. There are over 100,000 CFPs in the United States, but less than 2% are Black. So you can imagine to you, me being a Black female, like that's a very small, if there's less than 2,000 just Black, and then you add female on top of that, and less than 20% or about 20% of all CFPs are female. So I love to diversify the industry from that perspective. So one of the reasons I came here too was to bring representation, to show like, hey, there is a space in this industry for you. I've been here, I've done it, I'm doing it. And yeah, I love what I do. I love my firm that we get to kind of pour into others in that way as well.
You said something really, I want to double down on it a little bit. You say I'm a Black woman, CFP, but been in the industry and you want to diversify it. What would you tell, what would you tell the young Black woman who is considering finance, but maybe she's on the fence because she's maybe intimidated by those stats, maybe intimidated by the rooms that she's stepping in? What would you tell that person right now?
Yeah, I mean, I literally just talked to a young girl earlier today, and she was asking me, and I was telling her one of the things I said, never dull who you are, your personality. When I first joined the industry, even something as simple as my hair, I was like, can I wear it like this? What am I supposed to dress like? And she even just asked me, should I be pulling back my hair? And I said, no, you wear your hair the way you want to wear your hair. My advice is don't wait for the industry to adapt to you. Like, you make the industry adapt, and you create that space. You carve out that space. And if you're in a space that doesn't allow that, I guarantee there's another firm or another space that will allow that. So basically, don't take no for an answer.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jasmine. Thanks, everyone. This is FPA NextGen live from Gathering. Later.
Now I have Richard Archer, who is one of the panelist cohort leaders and really a leader in this industry. So, Richard, why don't you just tell us about your story?
Yeah, so I'm almost 50, so I've been doing this planning thing for a long time. And when I started planning, I'm not as old as some of the other panelists, but when I started planning, there really wasn't a planning career yet. And you kind of had to go through the broker-dealer world and eat what you kill and, you know, tell your boss what financial planning was and all of that, and kind of going through some terrible work experiences.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to see that that's not the case anymore, that there's a planning career. And in my firm, we have planning careers, and people, that's all they do is planning. And we just hired another one on Friday. I'm really excited about Cheney. I can't wait to meet you in person.
Well, it's cool that you had this one experience of growing into the profession, and now you've got a business where it can be different for these next generation planners.
Absolutely.
So, all right, you're a busy guy. I'm sure you have plenty of things to do. Why'd you come to Gathering?
Yeah, you know what? Adaro Aswani is a really good buddy of mine, and I adore him, by the way. And we just talk all the time. I guess I'm his mentor. I don't know how much knowledge I have to share, but I've been talking to him since he was in college, and he called me up and said, "Hey, I'm doing this thing, FPA NextGens in Phoenix. Do you want to come?" I was like, "All right." That was literally that was all the thinking I gave it. I said, "Let's figure it out when we get there." I had no idea what y'all were going to be like, because y'all are different than I was when I was a young planner. I was very and you guys have got more self-identity, and it's more of a career now. It feels different.
Yeah, it's cool. And it's evolved. It's taken a lot of work from leaders like you. All right, so you're leading cohorts. What's been your experience leading a group of 20, 30 next generation planners here?
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. I posted on LinkedIn this morning for FPA NextGen that the biggest thing I learned, I came here thinking that I was going to be the entertainment, and I had to keep the room rah-rah. I got to bring music and jokes, right? And I got here, and I'm not sure I was necessary because my cohort was really strong, and they all were open to sharing, and they all have very similar challenges, and some of them are a little further ahead than others. And they quickly shared ideas with each other and really were supportive. And my job was super easy. I actually didn't have to do a lot.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun that's the energy that comes with this conference is people want to learn. They want to talk to others and just feel like they found their tribe here, which is really neat.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, you've seen a lot of advisors grow up, build careers, and so on and so forth. What's a couple of tips that you would say to level up a new planner's career?
Say yes to everything. All your job is in your 20s, honestly, is to learn. Figure out what you like, figure out where your strengths are, work on your weaknesses. When there's a new project that comes along, every planning firm is busy right now. And if you've got a boss who's super busy, take some stress off of them. You will become invaluable. I also highly recommend becoming a subject matter expert in something that no one else in the office knows about. Is it AI? Is it estate planning? Is it insurance? What is it? Crypto, right? Whatever it is, become the expert, and then you'll become invaluable in your office. It's actually kind of fun too, by the way.
Yeah, builds job security.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
I think you said this on maybe the panel. You have ideas and you want someone to take that idea and run with it, do the research, come back, ask questions when needed. And all I can say is make your boss's job
Easier. Yes.
That finding a niche within your office, that's job security.
Yeah. So my team right now, I'm really lucky. We've hired really well. They're so sweet. They do that for me. And in turn, I ask them what they want. What do you want to learn? What do you want your career to go? What is it? I'm more than happy because now I have the time to think about it and to help them build the career that they want. It works both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's when you can make things collaborative, you help the firm out, they're going to help you.
Yes.
It's really cool.
Yes.
So you took a Waymo last night. Would you recommend his selfless driving cars?
Yeah. You know what? We drove around the block, me and Stephen Demand from Dimensional, and we went across the city, did some turns. I did FaceTime with my daughter while we were driving, and we were making fun of the Waymo to the Waymo. It was very defensive driving. It was really fun. I noticed that they're in Austin now too. So I think I would. Statistically, they're safer than human drivers. So we're going to take one to the airport. Maybe these are my last words.
Absolutely. All right. Last question. What's your favorite thing about Phoenix?
Bianco's pizza. I really liked that. Yeah. You know what though? The pizza was good, but we had Julie Johnson and Stephen Demand. We had just a really fun conversation. They let their hair down and we just goofed around for a few hours. And Brenda Frazier. And it was fun to see everybody out and just being humans. And, it wasn't very hot last night either. So it was really enjoyable.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Richard, thank you for being on the podcast. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Back again here at FPA NextGen Gathering. Mike Zarelli, and I've got Amanda McKenna. Amanda, how's your gathering going so far?
It's great. This is my first time joining, and I didn't really know what to expect coming in. Everyone talks about how the camaraderie is just unbeatable, and it's really true. I feel right at home, which is awesome.
Absolutely. It's a very welcoming atmosphere. Now, you said first time that you've been to gathering. Why now? You've been in the industry for a little while. Why now?
I know. I graduated from college about 6 years ago now, and I'm the local leader for our NextGen community in the Pittsburgh chapter where I'm from originally and live now. And just being in year 6, I'm getting like that itch. I'm like, okay, I've been out of college for a little bit, but I'm not like super far in my career where I'm just out there like knocking them down all the time. And I just want to really find my community and recognize that all these awesome people who are here are going to be with me for the next 20, 30, 40 years also. So why not start now and build these awesome connections?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we were just talking about this. Meeting in person fosters that relationship even more. So we've been, Amanda's on the local leaders for the National FPA NextGen, and we've worked together, or at least been on Zoom calls for 8 months now, and this is our first time meeting, so it's cool.
I know. It's good to see that everyone's real.
Yeah, absolutely. One interesting thing you told me about is that you started a chapter locally. Can you talk about that?
Sure. So 3 years ago, when I was back in Pittsburgh after living in Cleveland for a few years upon graduation, joined the FPA, which I had been familiar with for a while, and heard about the NextGen. And then the president just said, you're NextGen, you're coming to things. What better person to start this up than you?
Yeah.
So really, we had our first event, which was just a happy hour with probably 10, 15 people. And I was like, okay, I think we really got something going on. And then you hear the rumblings like, oh, when are we doing something again? When's the next NextGen event? And then before you know it, you have another event. And then you just really get to start to see the same faces, and those same faces bring in more faces, and then they bring in more. And you just have such an awesome group of people who get to become friends outside of the office and get to share like struggles, wins. And we're 3 years going strong now in the Pittsburgh chapter with NextGen, and we're just going to keep on growing.
Absolutely. 3 years. That's awesome. And it's cool to, just say I had impact. I've gathered these people together and create those relationships.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. What was difficult, or what was the hurdles to get over to start this local chapter?
Well, little things make the big things happen to me. So sometimes we would have like a casual happy hour and there was only like 5 or 6 people. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's only 5 people. This is not what I'm hoping for. This is not like what I want the presence to be like. But then you just have to say, well, I'm committed to this. I'm going to get back up, have another event. Maybe it's a breakfast this time. Maybe it's something different. And just trust that these relationships, sometimes quality over quantity is certainly more important.
Yeah.
So trusting that the quality of the relationships that are coming together is going to work out, and then the word is going to spread from there too. So I think it's so important to not be discouraged by what your first, second, third turnout might be, and just stay strong and trust the process in that regard.
Did you ever have an event that the turnout was weak and it was discouraging?
Oh, well, we are trying to start up some sort of like study group, as is so popular with the national level, or a journal club, and there was only 4 or 5 of us who joined the first one a couple months back. And I will say most of them were my committee members, so they were coming by default. But it's something...
Had to.
Exactly. But we had such a good conversation for over an hour about different articles in the Journal of Financial Planning. Yeah. And so we're really like, wow, okay, how do we build with this awesome experience that we just had together and spread the word about it? So that's something that we're working on, is how do we make this a success and spread the word and get other group members to join as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as I mentioned before, you are on the national level of the local leaders. What obstacles have you had in running that division?
Well, I think nationally, it's just so interesting because the FPA footprint is the whole country. So again, being in this virtual world, I think there's a lot of pros and cons. And one pro is that we do have such a far reach now. But the con is like, I can't meet someone in person and say, please come to our local leader quarterly event because we're going to talk about these amazing things. So I have to try to convey that over emails or just different touch points. But most importantly, I want everyone to know that I'm here as a resource and I want to help them succeed. So I just hope that I can continue to make sure that they know I'm there for that. And if there's anyone who I haven't really connected with that needs that help or could use a set of ears to listen in on ideas, that I'm here for them for that.
Absolutely. Cool. Last question. How are you going to level up your game after this conference?
Well, first of all, my LinkedIn connections are definitely leveling up, which is so awesome because everyone's so active. And just sitting in our first cohort session of the day, which is our second one overall of the gathering, I feel like I really am just getting to know so many different people. And there's been different tidbits that people have been so kind to share with the group that I'm just like following up with them on. Like, I really think it was awesome that you shared that you don't feel that confident in this area, because talking to you, I would have never guessed that. So I just really like to be a positive person and an uplifter. So I want to help uplift anyone here that I can, and just as so many have for me.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been Amanda McKenna and the FPA NextGen podcast.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. All right, next up we have Allison Miller from Austin, Texas. Allison, what's your story?
Well, my story is that I am actually a second-generation planner. My mother was a career changer from the TV industry into financial planning. So at the age of around 8, I was able to watch her go through the CFP education and decide that financial planning was for her. And that was really inspiring just to see that passion for the industry. And then I went through a rebellious phase and decided to go to dental route instead of financial planning, and decided halfway through that I did not want to do that, and went back into the financial planning route and have loved that route ever since. So I am now with Mission Wealth and currently loving it.
Absolutely. Love that. How do you think having parents that were in the industry impacted your career choices?
Made me think through them. I saw that a career can impact your satisfaction at home. So being unhappy in your career choice does carry home with you, and being happy in your career choice carries home with you as well. And being able to see that if you're passionate about something, it's worth pursuing. And then also being able to see that with proper planning, you can do anything. It is really cool to be able to practice financial planning for myself and getting that taught from a young age, and then being able to have a career that's really fulfilling, and combining it all together is just a really beautiful thing about this profession.
Absolutely. It is one of those awesome, I guess, perks of being in the profession is like we learn the skills and the knowledge of financial planning, and then we can apply it to our own financial situation. So it does give us that upper edge. Now, did you get a lot of advice or guidance from your parents on your career choices, solicited or not?
They did not pressure me to do anything. So my dad actually worked in construction. If anything, he forced us into the industry more than we wanted because we had to do free manual labor with him.
Yeah.
Which was fun, but also unwarranted. And I decided that financial planning was going to be more fun than construction. But my mother just constantly said, like, this is a really good profession. Like, if you're interested, ask questions. But she never wanted to push me into it because she didn't want me to feel pressured to join because of her. She wanted to make sure that I wanted to join because of me. And I think that that was really helpful in making the decision. So I didn't feel like I'm just doing this to make my mom happy. I'm just doing this because it's what I should do. I'm doing it because it's what I actually want to do, and I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I knew this was a really wonderful career path.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And it's cool that you made it your own decision and there was no pressure to go into it. That's awesome. Shifting gears, I've seen you at Gathering a handful of times. Why do you keep coming back to this conference?
I keep coming back because of the people. So if I'm being honest, I adore everyone that I meet at these conferences. I have joined a mastermind group out of people that I've met at these conferences, and I get to meet with them once a month and just update what's going on in our careers. What are we struggling with? How are we overcoming it? What can we do to get to that next level? And being at Gathering is just such a unique feeling to be able to nerd out with people and have them have the same passion about it as you, and in a similar career phase, because a lot of who I work with are older and not necessarily in the same like career stage that I'm in.
Right.
So they can give advice about what worked for them, but it's further away. Like, it's just an idea of how they did it. They're not currently going through the same struggles or the same just thought process of how to get to the next stage because they already did it. But being able to work with people in the same tranche that you're in is wonderful, and being able to get ideas from them and being able to figure out how in my position I can add value to the firm without being in technically a power position or leadership position within the firm. There's still a possibility for me to bring value, and I learn the most skills here than anywhere else.
Yeah, it's a very collaborative environment, and We're not competition. We're here to help each other, build each other up. And I loved what you said about bringing value to the firm in different ways. Maybe it's not bringing in business, but it's improving processes or just making things more efficient, whatever way you can. Making your boss's life easier is an excellent way to create some job security.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Austin, Texas is one of our favorite local chapters because you guys are so active. Can you tell us about the initiatives you put in and how you've created such a active chapter?
So I created an active chapter in Austin out of Gathering. So last year, Landon had a pamphlet to create a wonderful next-gen community locally. And I decided that that would be a super powerful thing to have locally. We did not have a community on a local level that you could just feel secure going to, not competition, just help and just honestly nerds that you can get along with. And by doing that, having that pamphlet, creating the committee, getting the workflow in place, I was able to figure out what events do we want to do. We decided that we wanted one career development event, one fun networking event, and then one educational event. So that has been our model for quarterly. We have monthly events, and we make sure we have one of each quarter. Wow. And that way you can have different people showing up to the events that mean most to them. So you don't need to go to every single event to gain value. Sometimes you just want the networking, or sometimes you're really into career development. You want to get into it. So you have the event diversity to match the diversity of the community members.
Absolutely. I love that. So did you do like a survey to figure out what was most important to your members?
We did a survey at the first event of the year. So we did a trivia night for our first event to get people out there. And the fun networking events are usually what people come to. It is fun to see people. It's fun to get a free drink once in a while. And it's fun to play trivia and have that icebreaker to get along with people. And in order to get your drinks paid for, you needed to fill out the survey. So having that survey where I found out where people wanted to have events, what type of events they wanted to have, and to get ideas from them on what events to put on, because it's easy to say, oh, I want networking events, but we're doing a wine bus to different vineyards because of the survey. So figuring out the community's ideas helps immensely with fostering that community feeling because they're heard and they're actually doing things that they want to do.
That is awesome. I think a lot of our next-gen local leaders I hope they can hear that and apply it to their own situations. I know I want my local chapter to do that as well. Well, thank you for the time. This has been Allison Miller, the FPA NextGen podcast.
Thank you.
So, hey everyone, I'm Deshawn Peterson, and welcome to FPA NextGen Gathering Live 2024 from Phoenix, Arizona. And today I have
Nicollet.
All right, thank you for joining us, Nick. So, for people who don't know you, what does FPA NextGen mean to you?
Well, I actually had the pleasure of seeing NextGen form when I was president back in 2007. So I think it started a couple of years before that with Michael Kitches and others. And it's the future. It's the energy of what the profession can be. It's all about great voices, connections. I've been totally inspired. My first time here. The energy is amazing.
And I guess because you've been around the FPA for a number of years, what would you say the biggest distinction is this newer generation versus your up-and-coming generation?
Sure. Well, it's been over 40 years, as you know, you had heard. So we were trying to create and find a path in a profession that really had no true definition. And what I see now is just an extreme acceleration of energy, of changing really the world of who we are and what we can do. And it's just absolutely incredible to see that the dynamics, the demographics, everything looks like our world is. And that is exciting and where the profession's going to go.
Okay. And you are a cohort leader, so you're bringing knowledge, you're sharing. What is something that you've taken away from these first few days here at Gathering?
Probably the most important thing I've seen is the sharing. The ability for each person here that wants to make each individual better and help them. And that openness and that sharing of trials or tribulations and opportunities has been so exciting for me to see that happen so quickly. I was absolutely amazed to see that within minutes, It seemed like people knew they found their tribe, found their people, and they didn't even know who they were, and found themselves instantly like, I'm at my home.
As someone who identifies with that, I definitely feel like this is my tribe, and it's like your family reunion for like your industry family, and it's just a beautiful feeling.
Well, and as I said, the thing that's most amazing is that people within 10 minutes had that feeling. I was just blown away.
You walk in the doors, like, it just feels warm, like, we're here.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. All right, so on it, we're going to end on that note. Thank you, Nick, for joining us, and for everyone else, we'll see you later.
All right, take care.
Mike Zarelli here with Stacy McKinnon, one of the cohort leaders and a panelist. And the first question I wanted to ask, during the panel, you mentioned the U.S. women's soccer team multiple times. So why don't you tell us about why they inspire you and what people can learn from their story?
Yeah, so if anyone doesn't know, the coach of the U.S. soccer team started on June 1st, and in essentially 10 weeks was able to take the women's team to gold, which was just incredible. And so I saw this happen, and I watched a few games. I played soccer when I was younger, and I said to myself, like, why did they win? Like, what happened here? So then I just went on a YouTube and article spree of, like, what can I learn about Emma Hayes? And what she does is this very interesting mixture of helping people to believe in themselves, helping them to love themselves, to see their role as an individual in the organization and as a team player, and how can they make those two things come together and create the best team. But she also said something interesting, is that she wanted people to suffer on the pitch. She wanted them to go to the pain cave and suffer, and she almost made no subs the whole time. And I'm like, this is very interesting leadership. You have like suffrage and you have love and belief and kindness at the same time. And so I got dug into that. And what I love about this from a leadership standpoint is basically what she's saying is she wants people to suffer because she wants them to believe in themselves. She wants them to get to the point where they work so hard that they can't even help but achieve the success that they knew that was inside them, so that they believed in themselves, loved themselves, and could see how they could show up for the team. And so I think that's a good lesson for us in how do we think about our careers. Sometimes it takes a little bit of suffering, but actually that suffering doesn't have to be negative. It can be something that we do to build confidence in ourselves.
Yeah, no pain, no gain.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's a saying that there's no growth in the comfort zone, and there's no comfort in the growth zone. And I think that's the same thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you're a leader at your firm, so why don't you tell us about your story and where you're at?
Sure. So I've been with Morton Wealth for 10 years, and prior to that, I was a wedding planner and a Pilates instructor. So I am a career changer. At 28 years old, I switched directions in life, and I started just doing operations and paperwork, and then got my CFP, became an associate, and then eventually was offered either the opportunity to go down the advisor path or become the COO. And a consultant had shared with me good advice. She said, do you want to directly impact 100 clients, or do you want to indirectly impact thousands? And I chose the indirect route. So I still work with about 30 clients because I like to stay on it. But my role now in our firm is COO, and then I also am the Chief Marketing Officer too. And I just love the dynamics of both those things. It's like both sides of the brain. I get to be both operational and creative. And so best of both worlds, in my opinion.
That's really cool, because a lot of people, when they think about this industry, it's just you're the client-facing advisor, or you're the chief investment officer, and that's it. That's it.
Yep.
So you're showing that you can be in a financial planning firm, have an impact on all these clients just by focusing on the operations, the marketing, and the leadership of the other advisors.
Developing advisors, right? And helping advisors to have the confidence to really take care of clients.
Yeah. So you said developing advisors.
Okay.
You're at a next generation conference for financial planners. Why did you take time out of your busy schedule to come here?
Well, I think it probably starts with like the foundation of who I am. I grew up in a small town in Lake Tahoe, California, and we were not taught financial planning in any way, shape, or form. Like, we were just sent out into the world, and it was like, good luck. See what you can figure out. And I always think if I didn't start in this industry, I wouldn't even know what to do with like my personal finances or make decisions myself. And so I find that the role of financial planner is like just so valuable. And we're able to make an impact on so many lives. And I mentioned this on the panel yesterday, but given the fact that almost no one is taught finance in school, like, we actually do know more than most people, and almost everyone you meet, you probably have an opportunity to help. And so if I can be part of developing more and more planners and advisors to go out and do that mission, I think we can maybe solve the lack of financial education problem on the back end. Because right now it's not being solved in schools, but I hope that that happens one day too.
Yeah, more planners that are able to help people, the better our outreach can be.
Yeah,
Which is really
for sure.
cool. So, all right, you've helped develop tons of younger advisors.
Yep.
How would you define a successful career for a young advisor? What's the marks that you're looking for?
Yeah. So number one thing is just communication skills. Like as a young advisor, the more that you can practice in the mirror, walking down the sidewalk, flight simulate things that you want to say or do, the better. Because I think that having that intrinsic confidence in yourself, that's going to be the thing that actually propels you forward in your career faster than almost anything else. So having that confidence. The other thing I would say is I would avoid victim mentality as much as possible. I think that it's really easy when you are in an associate role to feel like the burden of the work because you're kind of cranking it out and you're really putting the reps in, and that can be really tiring. And so as much as possible, if you can have a mindset that every opportunity is an opportunity to grow and learn and not the mindset that work is being thrown on you, I think that you'll just like emotionally approach your work in a much more successful way. So those are the two things I would say is try to avoid victim mentality, like have a growth mindset instead. And then I would say focus on your communication skills.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
At my firm, it's they say don't be a victim, be a player.
There you go. I like it.
Going back to your soccer.
So much we can learn from sports.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Stacy. This is awesome.
This is great. Thanks.
Let's get started. I am Deshawn Peterson, and welcome to NextGen Gathering, FPA NextGen Gathering, live from Phoenix 2024. And I am here with
Jessica Nelson. I am with TCI Wealth Advisors. This is my first NextGen, and I'm new to FPA.
Great. So we're in the last hours of NextGen. Jessica, how would you summarize NextGen in a phrase? Gathering, this event, not just NextGen as an entity. Gathering.
I would say highly collaborative. There is no one I've met, regardless of age, stage of career, where they're from. We just spoke with a woman from Costa Rica, right? Like there's just such an incredibly rich community here that I didn't expect. And everybody is wanting to get to know each other. Like there's no one sitting in the corner feeling left out that I've seen. And, in those moments, someone's like, hey, do you want to come join our table? And people are just really, really real about what's going on for them, about what they want, about issues they see in the profession and how they want to tackle them. So I would just say there really is a sense of connectedness and community for sure.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think we were having a great conversation earlier, and it kind of just provoked what I want to ask you now. NextGen is about entry-level students, career changers, people who are just, I think, first 7 years in working in financial services. And you mentioned that you're at a point now where you're building infrastructure, hiring, and things like that. What would you say to the interns or the people who are coming fresh out of college who are looking to get in the financial services industry? Like, what words of wisdom would you give them?
I would say don't go automatically for the sexy choice. So like your big wirehouses, your huge names in the industry, maybe even a prominent advisor in your region. I used to be a professor of counseling at a university on the East Coast. And one of the things I would tell my students is, the research of a new up-and-coming faculty member is so exciting, right? It's like their names everywhere and you want to be a part of that and you want to be the first one in the door and make an impact. But a lot of times those people have great intentions for mentoring you. They just don't have the time. And I used to tell them, find someone who's in the last maybe 10 years of their career because they're at a place in their life where they want to share their experience. They want to pass on their wisdom. They're looking to leave a legacy, and it's likely in people like you. So I say go for the firms who want to invest in you, even at that level. They're going to give you client exposure. They're going to sit you down with, the more seasoned advisors. They're going to invest time and effort and energy in exposing you to all different roles in this industry. And so I'd say, it's really easy to look for something that's a resume builder or a name. Look for the people and look for the people who are going to genuinely spend time with you.
Okay. Now, doubling down on that, when you're interviewing or say I'm an intern, I have no experience, I want to stand out. Maybe I'm intimidated by the space. Maybe I'm not of like the caliber. I didn't go to a top 10 school and all those other things. What can new entry level, same group, what can they do to stand out in your eyes that really, makes them a strong competitive candidate?
Yeah. This can really be an issue, I think, particularly in wealth advising, because that title, just wealth in our industry, in your firm, can be very off-putting, right? Like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not that person. I don't know these clients that I'm going to meet, right? Like, that can really put a barrier to someone leaning into learning what wealth advising and management is. And I would say, be you. I look, and my hiring team looks for people who are authentic. They look for people who are excited and who want to bring something to the table and are going to be proactive, right? Like, hey, I see you're doing this task or this meeting. Do you mind if I just come sit with you? Like, I'm drafting on potential at that point. I don't need you to have all the skills. I don't need you to have the big name behind you or the certificate. I'm drafting people, right? People who are going to connect with clients and help them open up so that we can get all of the information we need to actually be a critical person in their lives and help give them peace of mind.
I love that. Okay. And what would you tell people who are thinking about coming to NextGen Gathering but haven't made the decision yet? What would you tell those people?
Do it. Register now. I am not a paid sponsor.
This is not that.
I would honestly say do it. It's interesting. So 2 of my financial planning team members are here today, and they're just a little bit further along in their career than I would say a lot of the attendees here. And yesterday, after one of the sessions where it was talking about being an advocate for yourself, how do you negotiate compensation? How do you get additional opportunities? He was like, I wish I heard this 4 years ago. He's like, I would be in a totally different spot. And he's a pretty confident guy, but those conversations are intimidating. And depending on who you are, your history, your background, that can be a real barrier to advocating for yourself, right? And so I would say 100% do it. Everyone is welcome. It's one of the most valuable experiences, I think, for a young professional that you can possibly attend.
Great. And with that, thanks everyone for joining us. See you next time.